know we're making tens of thousands of boats out of here this year.
Last summer, I traveled north for a canoe camping trip down Maine's largest river. The Penobscot runs directly through Old Town, Maine, the namesake of Old Town Canoes and Kayaks. After spending a couple days paddling, camping, and dining on lobster, we set out for the Old Town factory. The goal is to get an inside look at how my kayak is made, as well as how Old Town handles skyrocketing demand to make tens of thousands of kayaks and canoes each year. The facility does not usually allow guests, but Ryan Lilly, Old Town's brand evangelist, cleared a trip for us to visit.
We used to have a huge old historic building in Old Town. It was like a 5-story building. We built it at the turn of the century, and we moved over here in 2008 because the working conditions weren't very ideal. All of the ovens and production was on the 5th floor, and all the raw materials were in the basement. When we first moved here, that's a replica of what the front of the building looked in downtown Old Town. And a lot of the production staff had fond memories of working in that building. There's a lot of history. Right up here, that's pretty cool. That's our 1 millionth boat that we had made. This is our production floor. We make tens of thousands of boats out of this facility every year. We have customers all over the country, some distributors overseas as well. And we employ roughly 200 people out of this facility, 3 shifts a day, 7 days a week. This is our biggest oven in the facility. This is what we call our turret oven. This is the one I was talking about, makes 12 boats at once, so we can run 12 molds simultaneously at once, 4 that are getting loaded and prepared, 4 that are getting cooked, and then 4 that are getting cooled. And so Rotomolding kayaks actually is a half cooking, half cooling process. So the plastic has to set up and cool as long as it's cooking and melting in the oven. These guys here are prepping the mold, so they're adding any of the mold-in graphics. So like the graphics that you see, the Old Town graphic and the model graphics are all stuck to the outside of the mold and then baked onto the outside of the plastic on the inside when it's cooking. All of these buckets here are preloaded with the color of whatever that boat's going to be. And so you'll see they've got a color map on that yellow wall over there. So depending on what model it is, what color it is, they have an idea where they want to put which ratio of colors. No 2 boats are the same, but they're pretty darn close. So they're prepping the mold, they'll pour the plastic in. Behind this door here is the oven. It's got 4 different models on this arm. You know, this is our most efficient oven because we can plug and play what molds we need on. Now this is going to slowly rotate here in front of these fans, and it's going to help it start to cool. It'll probably cool on this stretch of its journey for about 10 minutes, and then they'll demold it, and then it'll finish the rest of its cooling in the cooling trays on the other side. We'll walk around right now, we'll see what they're working on the other side. This thing just keeps going 24 hours a day. Once the kayaks come off the mold, again, they're staged in this area here on all these cooling trays. Each one of these cooling trays is unique to each model. Once a kayak is done with the rotomolding process and cooling process, they stage them in racks. Then they'll do a float test in the tank here, make sure that there's no cracks or holes or blemishes that would allow water to get in. If it passes that test, it then makes its way down the production line, gets bungees, straps, seats, grommets, handles, and then it gets wrapped up. And right now, pretty much all these boats are going right onto a truck and right to a retailer. We aren't holding a lot of inventory right now. It's literally hand to mouth making this stuff. So now what's really fascinating about this production process is even though we're making plastic boats, there's only like a 9% scrap rate overall. We recycle all of this, the leftover plastic, or a boat has to get chopped because it's a blemish. We're able to recycle that back to the plastics manufacturer that we buy all of our resin from. It's kind of special about our workforce here is we've got so many people that have put in 15 or more years out of this facility. And we have a handful of people that are multi-generational, like their aunts, uncles, moms, dads, grandparents have worked in our facility. And it's a serious sense of pride for our community. This is the largest employer here in town. Many families, you know, in the area work here for many years. People work as a temp seasonally for several years before they get a shot at second shift. And then they'll work second shift for 5-6 years. Somebody will retire off the first shift and they'll get their shot at first shift. So there's definitely a pecking order seniority that people work towards here so they can kind of get on that coveted first shift. We're the busiest we've been in our history, which is awesome. but I know we're making tens of thousands of boats out of here this year. You know, demand remains high, and we don't really see that trending down in our projections anytime soon. So we're trying to figure out if it's a step change or if it's a bubble.
Yeah.
And I think it's probably more of a step change than anything. You know, as challenging as COVID has been, it's been awesome for the outdoor industry. It's obviously for the consumer, it's allowed them to get back outside and experience the outdoors, and that's good for us, and it's good for the bike industry, it's good for skiing, and it's been just wind in our sails as an organization because it's going to keep our people here in Old Town employed for a long time.
I learned so much and am very appreciative to Old Town for organizing this trip. It's easy to take for granted just how much effort goes into each kayak. Thanks to the hard workers in this production facility for enabling myself and millions of paddlers to get out and enjoy this Earth's beautiful waterways. Oh, be sure to check out this video. It's our trip down the Penobscot, and there's some incredible stuff going on in this watershed.